Welcome to the Hub Podcast. I am your host, Cheney Passer. With me is Crypto Courtney.
I was going to say, still cold Courtney.
You're heavily invested in crypto, huh? That's all you ever talk about.
Yep, that's me. All about those investments in imaginary worlds.
Can you tell me what crypto is? I don't really know because I know you're an expert in it.
Well, they're coins. They're crypto coins that you can purchase, I think. One. But well, you can get them in March is coming up. So you can get them at Mardi Gras or Easter. You get those coins that have the aluminum foil wrapper around it.
Oh.
It's basically those.
Yeah.
But in digital form.
Do you get the chocolate
hold
though?
Them. Sometimes you get chocolate.
Really?
Sometimes, but it's digital chocolate. You don't get to eat them.
Oh.
So they're all, you can't touch them, but that's what they look like. And each color is a different, kind of like how when you have poker chips, each color is a different amount.
Yeah.
Some of them have caramel in it.
Yeah, some of them come with chocolate, so you can buy the ones with chocolate or
No, they're
caramel.
all chocolate.
Oh.
They're all chocolate.
But you don't get to actually eat the chocolate.
Well, you can into the digital space. So if you... Now, this
Can
is
you
going
taste
into a
in the
whole
digital
different
space?
world. This is next level.
Yeah.
This is where you get into the whole metaverse space.
Okay.
And I know a person there. Yeah, they then get to eat the chocolate.
Okay. Can you tell me more about this? Because this is something else that you just talk about all the time is this metaverse. You think that all of us are going to be...
It's the new way of living.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think people will actually do that?
They'll have to.
Why would they have to?
Because we're not taking care of our planet.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be there after. The planet will be here, but we won't be here. So what the plan is to take our brains, take our memory, take the functions of humans and just plug them in.
But what if there's no Earth, then there's nowhere to plug in, don't you think?
Well, you can shoot that up into space.
Oh.
We don't need to have we don't have to be able to breathe to do that. You can put us in little tubes.
Well, do you have to breathe in metaverse?
No, it's fake.
Oh.
So you can plug your consciousness into a thing that you can put anywhere. It doesn't need needs different fluids potentially, but it doesn't need oxygen. And it can live in the metaverse forever and ever.
Do you wonder if that's what we're doing right now? And this is just a continuation of doing that again? We are somebody's metaverse?
I'm into it. If that's the case, I don't really care. It's working.
Isn't that weird? That's what some people think.
That's interesting.
If it becomes this, then that's fine. I'm okay with that. But the unknown is scary.
It's like that movie with...
And what happens to the people that don't go into the metaverse and were left behind? We're the people that made it into the metaverse and now we're the continuation of that. What about the people that don't?
Probably a lot of people. Because the only people that are going to get into the metaverse are the people that are into crypto and into the metaverse currently.
You.
So, not a lot of people.
People like you.
But it's like that Owen Wilson movie. Owen Wilson? Is that right?
What movie is that?
Where he woke up and he was in his office and then someone in his office who's the other chick in it? Salma Hayek? Is that how you say her name? But remember how he kept noticing wait, why are people coming up to me and saying you're real or you're not real? And then the girl, she found him and she was homeless and kind of crazy and whatever, and she knew all this stuff about him, and he was like, how do you know this? And she was like, because you're my person, I'm married to you. And then they unplug and they're in this utopia world, and it was to prove that even in a utopia where everything is structured
For
to be
your,
perfect for
yeah,
you, you still complain and you're unhappy. To where he was
yeah,
more happy in the world that was like crazy and basically what we live in. Like,
yeah. Was that Owen Wilson? I know it was Selma Hayek,
I think it
but I
was.
don't remember if it was Owen Wilson or not. Yeah, that was a weird movie. I don't even remember what it was called either.
No, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Do you have
So
any?
appreciate what you're doing and what you're living in,
Yeah,
because it could be
because
something crazy.
I mean that's something that like I think you said initially and we say all the time is like even if your situation gets better, like you're still you. You're still
Yeah.
taking you to it. You know, it's like people are like, "Oh, I'd be so much better if I, you know, had this much more money or I was living in this place or I had this car or like things would change." And it's like maybe subtly or maybe a little bit, but like you're still taking you and your behavior and your personality with that. So it's like if you're unhappy and
Yep.
sad, like it doesn't really matter the amount of money. That's why, you know, you hear all the time like all these rich people that are
They're the
still
most unhappy.
yeah, they're still unhappy or the most unhappy because um money doesn't give you a sense of purpose necessarily or sometimes it doesn't give happiness. I think
I
there's a
think
certain amount of like a certain amount of increase in money that's definitely going to make your life better and happy, but it's not like the cure all.
I think that there's two sides to that. I think you have to find the stability and happiness within your own life and the way that you structure it right now. And, you know, like we talked about a couple episodes ago, like just having the love for yourself or having um the security in yourself. But then through that, you probably are going to make decisions that are going to make your life better. You're probably going to choose places to live that fit and support and lift that happiness.
Warm places.
You're going to choose, thank you. Yes. You're going to choose jobs that, or, you know, or careers or different opportunities that are going to bring in money that make you feel valued, and you're searching those out, which is then going to support and lift that happiness. So I think that's also a twofold too, is like, sure, you can be broke and really, really try to be happy and nothing is going for you and you're not living in a place, and that's going to be a lot harder, I think, to really always focus on the happiness.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that can be yes, it's not a cure all. Money doesn't make you happy, but it definitely can make life easier. It can give you more freedoms,
Mm-hmm.
which can ease, a lot of things for people. But you have to come from a space of choosing those things and
Yeah.
creating that life for you.
Well, I think it's yeah, you have to like it's even for you where it's like living in a cold place would make your life worse.
Mm-hmm.
It would kind of wear you down. It would make you just a little bit irritated all the time. You know, if you're up in Montana, it's like the warmest it gets is 50 degrees in the summer or whatever. You would just not live the quality of life that you like could in a sense. To where just the opposite. If somebody who's loves the cold weather and loves all the things that comes with that, that would be a perfect place for them. So it's like you have to analyze and see where what things um, work with you and not
Right.
against you, and then put yourself in those positions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of goes into the topic that we're talking about today.
Yeah, it really does.
So we're talking about recovery and bouncing back and potentially, just the mental and emotional, but also physical struggles that come with that transition. And it's something that I feel like I've been sitting with mentally a little bit more lately. Um, and you've had some conversations with people where it's come up pretty heavily, where
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of creating a little bit of struggle and irritation possibly, and even the want to give up with their working out because of all of these things that happen. So whether you're coming back from an injury or pregnancy, or maybe you have to take a long-term break off from lifting and you're coming back,
Yeah.
um That can be hard.
Yeah, totally. I think especially like you you brought up injury. It's like I always think about the professional athletes or whatever. They come back, they have an injury, usually it's a major injury, say an ACL tear or something, and they are so used to performing at a certain level that all of a sudden they can't. And that is for um, non-athletes as well, or non-professional athletes as well. Is like you're so used to being able to use your left arm or whatever, but you maybe fell and dislocated it or broke it or something happened, and now you can't use it. I feel like there's a sense of like, oh, I can't do anything anyways. When you have it like in a cast or a sling, you have to go through that process. But all of a sudden, when you get the clearance to be able to move it and start using it, that's where this irritation comes in, because you're not able to freely move it and work on it, and you want it to get back to normal so badly and so quickly, and it's just not responding the same. It's not doing what you want it to do. Um, that those things can be frustrating. They can be super frustrating. Um, and it's hard to dive into. Like, everybody has personal experiences that I would maybe look into those things of like, why are you so frustrated with this? What does it mean to you if this arm isn't working? Um, and don't just say surface things like, well, I can't use it then. It's like, yeah, obviously, but like, why, why is this so detrimental to you? You know that if you continue to do the work, it will get better and you'll be there. So why is it so frustrating right now when as long as you do the recovery process, you'll be fine? Um, and there can be a lot to dive into with that. But uh, I think there's so many different situations that I think we're going to talk about or can be talking about that I almost feel like general advice would work better than going into specific scenarios. If it's somebody who's with pregnancy or injury or because they can be vastly different of like what you would do for those things. But I think mostly what we're talking about is like kind of your mental state with it. Physically, all those things are going to be different, but it's more getting over the hump mentally to be able to, get started or continue going, push through a difficult time, and just keep moving forward so you get back to where you were before or even better.
I think there's two sides to look at this as far as like what happened and then what am I doing moving forward. I think with something like this, unless you are in the case of like, yeah, I just haven't really been going and I kind of fallen off the wagon and now I'm trying to get back on track. I'm not necessarily talking to you because maybe you just listen to the moving forward and how we can attack the what's next aspect of it. But yeah, if you're someone that is, it kind of was, and I don't mean this in a like poor me way, but like taken from you as far as like you maybe physically can't when you're maybe pregnant or you broke your foot and you can't do that or whatever, or something larger than that. Take into consideration what that thing was, of giving yourself the weight and the grace, like give yourself the weight of the situation and then the grace of how you handle that and how you're coming out of that. If you just gave, or if you're, you gave birth, that could be one of the hardest things you're ever going to do physically in your life, mentally in your life, emotionally in your life. And now you're coming out going like, oh, but I don't look a certain way. It's like, great. It's awesome that you want to, move back into that and to feel healthy and to look good, but give your body a little bit of love in that moment of like, it's doing this maybe because I didn't set myself up as properly as I could, but it's also recovering. It went through trauma per se. Same thing with an injury. Your body is just trying to heal itself. It's not focusing on abs.
Yeah.
So I think like giving yourself some grace in that area of like, okay, what did I go through? What am I currently going through? Giving the weight to that so then you know how to properly move with that. Not go, like you said, the athletes that are like, well, but I'm an athlete and I can just do whatever I want. It's like, well, no, because you're broken right now. And it's
Yeah.
okay that you're broken, but you have to work out, eat, and all those things as broken right now. And that can be okay.
Yeah. I love the pregnancy example because it's like,
It's the easiest one, I think.
well, it's like you literally sacrificed your body to create this thing. So if you think about it in that sort of sense, like you have a job to do and like you need to do the job to the best of your ability, and then you do that and you create this thing, and now it's like, okay, your body's kind of back to being yours again. Like it's almost like it wasn't yours before for a little bit, and you had to do that, and now it's yours again.
You know what I feel like I hear with a lot of, I've been around so many pregnant people in my adult life. Like, I swear, every boss that I have gets pregnant at the same time. But, like, I feel like I've been around the same story, though, of like, it's almost like as soon as they have the baby, it's like someone came into your house and stayed for a week while you weren't there and messed a bunch of stuff up. And then you come back and you're like, what? It's almost like they
Yeah.
weren't physically in their body the whole time when they're pregnant. And then as soon as they have the baby, they're like, what the hell? Why do I look like this?
Yeah.
It's like, you were there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know why.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, and I think that's where you're talking about like giving yourself the grace. It's like you literally sacrificed your body to create this thing. Like that's that's an extremely important job, and like you did it, and now you can work on the next thing. But it's giving yourself the grace of like, I did something pretty crazy here, and now we can move forward. But don't be sad or upset because your body isn't what it used to be. Or I mean, yeah, it's like now we just move forward.
Because you can always get it back to where it used to be. But it's
Yeah.
going to be a lot harder, and it's going to be not as enjoyable, and it's going to seem like it's taking way longer if you're coming from the space of, I hate how I look. I hate da 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 da. Da. It's like you look like that because of the baby that you have, because the kids that you have running around. Like
Yeah.
you, I don't know. It's like,
Well, and it's a lot like the money thing too, where, oh, if I have this amount of money, my life is going to be better. It's like, no, you're still bringing you with it. So you doing the whole, oh, I hate how I look, I hate this, I hate that, and you still do all the work, and you get to where you actually wanted to be, and now you still have that.
right.
You still have that thought in your head, of that mantra in your head of like, oh, I don't like how I look, I don't like this, I don't like that. It's like that will never go away. Then it'll just never go away, and you'll just continue to play those words or those beliefs over and over again unless you change that. Like you changing, I think that's what's funny is you changing your body isn't going to change those thoughts in your head.
Right.
Like
It's just
it
a
just
very
doesn't.
specific scenario. You've probably been saying these things forever and ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I think is funny too. Like when you are pregnant and it's like, oh, I love it. Everything is good. And then, like I said, as soon as they have the baby, then it's like, oh, now it's just me and I hate myself again. It's like, so you were fine with it because it was for your child, but now that they're out of you, now they're like, ugh, now I just look gross. To where
Yeah, because it's for something.
that's what I always have told, like people that I, had in my classes or whatever, that they would kind of go with me throughout the whole process. And then after they had the kid, like this could be the one thing that is yours right now. Your whole life is revolved around maybe your new baby or your kids, that your body and your physical state and emotional state is always yours.
Yeah.
I know there's probably a lot of parents that are like, no, they have that too. They stole that too. But like that is the one thing that is still yours that you can focus on just for what you want and what you want to create. That let that be fun. Let that be exciting. Let that still like hold on to. They can have every other part of your life, but you still get that. And go into the gym with that mentality. Eat with that mentality of like, I'm doing this because I get to create whatever I want for my life, no matter what the kids want, no matter what maybe my significant other wants. Like, this is still just mine. And that goes the same thing for injury. Like, you might need to take a long stint off because yeah, maybe it's like you physically broke something, or you're in a recovery process where you're having to do physical therapy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing all of these things, and at least I can say this for myself, of this is how it was for me when I broke my foot, is seeing it as a forced stop.
Yeah.
So kind of like, okay, I have to slow down. I have to maybe completely stop what I am doing. Use that as a chance to check in
Yeah.
and go, okay, what do I want to go from here? Maybe that means like I'm going to physically create different goals and I want to focus on different things. Maybe that means mentally and emotionally, how did I even get to that point? Am I in an injury that was because of stress and because of overuse? And that's not going to assist me moving forward. I have to, you know, change my
Yeah.
behaviors with that. Is it certain things that I was eating and that's why I'm, in the situation that I'm in? It's a good forced analysis moment
Yeah.
that you have to take, and that's more just still from the like not moving forward yet aspect, but just in the like current state and what happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I feel like, a way that you can approach it.
That's something that the comedians that we listen to and watch said when COVID came around. It was like this forced them to stop, and then they realized like, oh, we travel way too much, or we do all this way too much. Like they're going out every single weekend to go to shows and fly to a new city and whatever, and they were all kind of like, oh, this is too much. Like I finally got some rest and recovery and I feel way better and I get to hang out with family more and spend time with my kids more and all that good stuff. And it's like they were forced to stop and be put in this situation that it's like, whether it's injury or it's, even like I think that can happen for pregnancies too, is you're making this sacrifice for this kid, and you can't do things like as you get farther into the pregnancy, you can't do certain things. And you start to realize like just other things, that there's other things about life or to life rather
Mm-hmm.
than, some of the same things that you're thinking about all the time. Oh, I need to make more money, or I need to lose weight, or I need to, you know, go to the gym more, or do this or do that. Like when you finally get your mind off of that and you look at other things, I think you realize how much bigger the world is around you, and something that like this, like these things can stop you in your tracks and make you think about it. So if you're in that situation, yeah, just stop and think for a second, like, okay, well, I can't do this thing now because maybe I broke my arm. Where are other things in my life that I feel like I'm lagging or lacking? And maybe let's put a little bit of attention to that, because I can't put any attention to what I'm doing now, rather than trying to just like push through that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think that that's very healthy. And I think that can show a sign of like unhealthy mental state. If you're just, you're so obsessed and you're desperately trying to push through, when it's like, no, it's stopping you. It's like you with your foot. You talk about that all the time, of you were dancing so much that your foot broke, and then you continued to dance and it got worse,
Yeah.
and it was a longer recovery than if you would have just stopped. So it's like if you would have just stopped, you wouldn't have had as long of a recovery and been able to come back quicker or whatever. But even that, like you were able to, you did break your foot, couldn't dance anymore, and it made you think about stuff and think
Well,
about other things.
and that's I think that's why I can relate to this so much, is because it's exactly like the advice I'm giving you is exactly what I did not do. Like the cause of injury was just overuse. It's not like
Yeah.
I did anything extreme. It's like, no, I was just literally just dancing and it snapped in half. So, okay, there's something that I can analyze. That can't continue to happen.
Yeah.
And then how did I handle the situation? Nothing. I was again that like mentality of, well, I can't stop.
Yeah.
I have to keep going. So then I'm dancing for 2 full months on a broken foot. Just like whatever it's called, like the muscle tape, like muscle taping my foot as it's
Oh yeah.
full on black and blue.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not gonna help. But dancing for 2 months on a broken foot, and the doctor that worked with me said I would not have had to have surgery if I would have just came in. It would have been like, just like put a boot on, maybe like crutching around, whatever. But
Yeah.
then I had to have freaking surgery and put a pin in my foot because I couldn't chill. And
Yeah.
I just was like, I literally forced myself to like not feel the pain so that I could just keep going and
Yeah.
like ignoring the problem. It's like I literally just ignored my body. I was like, no, I don't care about you. I know you're trying to heal and I know I put you to the extreme, but let's keep going.
Yeah.
It's like, no. And then it forces you, like, no, you're going to have to be in a freaking thing that your foot is elevated because you have pins sticking out of it. Now we're going to force you to stop.
Yep.
And then that's where, yeah, you have to analyze, okay, why am I in this situation?
Yeah.
What am I not going to do moving forward? Mentally, emotionally, and the physical of maybe not doing that because that was stupid.
Yeah.
But also, no one was stopping me.
Oh my God.
No, they weren't going to allow me to stop.
Yeah, you were gonna stop yourself. Literally.
Yeah.
You run yourself into the ground so you break limbs and then you physically can't.
I remember one of the weekends, Dupre had like their nationals. So it was like a 5-day event of dancing. And I remember going up, because it was like a nationals, they did like a heels class. So I went up, one of the, who is now a faculty member, I went up to her and I was like, I'm just letting you know, like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful that I'm not wearing heels, but my foot is broken. So like, it's too swollen to put a shoe on it. And I just remember her being like, oh, okay, like, what did you just say to me? But,
So desperate.
I know. Well, because I didn't want it to seem like, why isn't she wearing shoes? Like, I didn't want it to seem like deliberate, like I wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, I still wanted to take the class, but I couldn't put the shoe on.
And she was thinking, why are you here?
I know. Leave. Go home. But
I think that's a good kind of like when that moment happens, when you break something or you hear bad news or the pregnancy situation of like, you're kind of just in it now. That I think moving forward, I don't know, like I'm a sucker for cliches. Like I just think they're true all the time. And one of the things is like it could be worse. Thinking about like this could be worse. There's a lot more stories that are worse than yours. So I think being grateful that you have the situation that you do because it could be worse. And I think even if you go kind of in that line of like, pregnancy, so it's like most of the time, and hopefully it's something that you chose, and it's like you could be coming back from recovery of a broken limb rather than pregnancy, and then
Sure.
a broken limb, that could be something way worse. It could be disease, or it could be, something even more extreme, or it could be a different broken limb that's even worse. You broke your arm, you could have broke your leg and then you're not walking, or it could be, you could get paralyzed or something. Like, I know that's kind of an extreme. We all go, yeah, okay, whatever. But it seriously could be. It could be a lot worse. And you maybe know people around you that it was worse for. And I think kind of making that comparison or bringing that idea up of like, this could be worse. I should be grateful for this is, because I can manage this. Like I can handle this. I can do what this requires. If it was worse, it would be a lot harder.
Yeah. Well, and there's always things to then appreciate with that. Not only just like, well, thank God I don't have the worst one, but like it kind of forces you to maybe rework how you're doing things a little bit, and maybe allow others to show up for you and you show up for yourself in a way that's new. Like I had to force myself to relax.
Yep.
And my family completely took care of me. Like the first couple days, like Kara laid and slept outside. I slept on the couch because regularly she slept on the couch on the ground, woke me up every 3 hours to give me medicine with like little pretzels because I had to do it with food. And like,
That totally changes your relationship with
yeah,
somebody.
I never would have allowed that. I'm the big sister. I never would have allowed that to happen. Or
Yeah.
someone to my dad sit with me day after freaking day and watching Friday Night Lights. So that I wouldn't be by myself. It's like, those are things that like I never would have gotten. I never would have taken the time to produce that.
Yep.
So, and then again, it's like, okay, now there's always, always, always room for opportunity and growth.
Mm-hmm.
Always, no matter the situation. So even if it's opportunity to appreciate new things, opportunity to maybe slow down and reflect, it's also an opportunity to give yourself time to maybe focus on things that you wouldn't have before.
Yep.
Like, could be something as simple as I broke my foot, so I started lifting because my body was kind of like, what's the word? Atrophy.
Yeah.
So like I wanted to build up my strength. Well, okay, that brought me into lifting weights.
Yeah.
Or like over COVID, we weren't able to go to a gym and we didn't have weight equipment at home at that time. So what did we do? We started reading more. We started doing yoga. We started getting into meditating and breathing exercises.
Yep.
All those things I would not have given myself the time to do.
Right. Right.
If I was working out. And
Yeah.
even dad of just like, I don't know. Those are things that now I've brought back in when I can still be lifting because I find the importance of that. But I wouldn't have given myself the space to learn those new things. So, but yeah, if you're someone that is maybe struggling with the post-pregnancy, well, this is a great opportunity to practice, okay, maybe analyzing how you're eating, analyzing what your kids are now eating. So then you can make the whole family healthier and better, and maybe what workouts can you do, and maybe their mental space of, oh, this is a great time to practice loving myself because I'm trying to teach these kids how to love themselves. I should probably learn how to do it too.
Yep.
Or coming back from an injury, like, okay, maybe you can reanalyze how you were training before and then moving forward so that you're creating a stronger and more stable body and mental space and all of that. Or learn about something else.
Yeah. Opportunity knocks. You know, it's something that's life-altering, life-changing. Like, there's a lot of things, a lot of good things that can come with that, even in a time of it not being good. You know, you don't feel good about yourself, or something negative has happened. Usually there's a new door around the corner, or a light around the corner that can make things a lot better. You learn new things, or you gain new relationships and better relationships. You gain memories that, you know, those things last forever.
Mm-hmm.
That it's so difficult and it's so tough, but if you can just stop and take a deep breath and think about the things that you're grateful for, I think it does a lot of good, especially in those times where you are thinking negatively. If you can physically stop yourself and take a breath and go, okay, let me think about like how this could be worse, and also like how good all these things can be. You know, I have children now because of going through this pregnancy, and that's amazing. And, you know, I love them a lot. Or this injury, like I was able to stop and I created better relationships with everybody in my family because before I wasn't ever home, and now I'm home a lot and I'm creating relationships and they're better and we have memories and stuff. Like, there's a lot of good that can come from it. And there's a lot of good in life if you just stop and look around for it. We're so used to looking for bad that this is an example that is thrown in your face of bad, that you really need to stop and look for the good, because there's a lot of good stuff that can come with this.
And that could also like completely reshape that experience for you.
Totally.
Breaking my foot, especially at that point in my life, like what I was doing with dance, like that would have, I totally could have seen that as this was the worst. It slowed me down. It stopped my process with my career and whatever. But like that is the best thing that could have happened to me, especially at that time.
Yeah.
It's like when you can see, like, no, in a way, like, whatever, it's the universe or my body was looking out for me hard.
Yeah.
Because all that stuff with my family, getting to chill, getting to relax and forcing myself to relax and being okay with that. That's also where I had my first glimpse of like learning how to teach, because that's
Yeah.
where I was the captain for Palms that year and I couldn't dance. I just had to sit and guide from there.
Yeah.
Like all these experiences that I never would have gotten, and I am so grateful for, because yeah, I mean, all of those things were so, again, the weight, they hold so much weight for me,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't have happened unless that bad thing happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think just like sitting with the situation, it's like, is it as bad as you feel like it is? Did it give you opportunity to appreciate, to grow? Did it give you opportunity to maybe pivot, turn, and switch things up a little bit, or
Yeah.
recalibrate?
Maybe, yeah, maybe you're at the position now where it's been enough time where you're kind of past it. Maybe look at your life. Look at, what things are a little bit different in a good way. Like what things have changed. You can reflect now because it's been long enough. It's like if you're at that position as well, maybe you can reflect and see like, wow, that really did change the course of my life or the way that I thought about things or approached things, and that can be a really good thing. That's
Yeah.
something that I just heard Jocko says all the time now. Is like whenever he hears bad news, he just goes, good. Like everything that comes in, okay, good. Because you're immediately going, good, I can handle this. And also like he's old enough now where he realizes there's opportunity knocks. Like
Mm-hmm.
when a bad time comes, there's always good that can come with that or after that. And sometimes even like this, like with your example of breaking your foot, it's like you were in such a rhythm that breaking that rhythm shows you a whole new side of life and what that can bring, and what is, what's around the corner, to where we get in these rhythms of like, this is just how life is, and you're going and going and going. And it's really hard to get out of that rhythm because it's comfortability and you know what you like and all that kind of stuff. But when you have these situations where you're forced to break that rhythm, it's scary and it's difficult and it's extremely hard to like look at what's good about it. But there's usually a lot of cool things that come with that, because you broke your rhythm and now you see different things, and you're creating a new rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
and you're finding new relationships and all that type of stuff. So if you can just take that, if it's bad news or something bad that happens to you, or you're just in that, poor mental state, everything that comes in, just going, okay, good. I know that there's going to be something that comes of this that I'm going to be appreciative of and grateful of. Let me just, be in the moment and let that come to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if you're coming from that space, your process of the, like, maybe what we're going to get into now of the what's next is going to be way more fun. It's going to be
Yeah.
more easeful, and it's going to feel like you're not, I
Not
always,
fighting something.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you're moving with your body, you're moving with your life, not, oh, like it's holding me back, or it's
Yep.
pushing, like I'm pushing against something all the time, because that's not, I don't know, like that's not enjoyable. I
No, and
can't
that's why
imagine.
people will
Like,
stop working out and stop, eating well, because it's not fun.
yeah, yeah. So I think in order to move forward and then moving on to the what next, analyze what your present space is first. Kind of like, no, you don't get to move forward until right now is good.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're moving forward with a good space, with a good mental space, with a good emotional space. And I know sometimes that's probably the hardest thing you're gonna have to do, because you're living in that every moment of every goddamn day.
Yeah.
Is like, well, I hate my body every moment of the day. I hate that I can't do this thing every moment of the day. I hate that I don't feel happy every moment of the day. But it's your life. It's your
Yeah.
body. It's like you never leave this. So it's important. If you maybe don't look that good right now, find some peace in that. If you don't feel
Hmm.
healthy right now, find some peace in that, because that's like,
Well, it's because like what's the alternative then? The alternative is you keep thinking like that.
and it
You
never
keep
just
hating
goes
it.
away.
Yeah. It doesn't change, like you fighting it and you hating it doesn't make it better. And it's the whole thing with money again. It's like you think that changing this situation or you fighting through it and getting to a physical shape that you want to be is going to change things. It's not, because it's your mental state that's
Mm-hmm.
all out of whack. Your
Mm-hmm.
physical is probably not that all out of whack. It's the way that you're thinking about yourself. So you need to work on that and practice that. And and I think those are the things that we were talking about, of like being grateful and looking at the positive, and trying to be appreciative of things around you and that are in your life, and then move forward and you know do the physical stuff of working out and eating healthy, because those things will then work with that positive mental state, and then you'll just continue to, like, it's so interesting how when you're thinking positively, you notice and it seems like more positive things are happening. And I'm not even sure if more positive things are happening. I think it's that your
You're
outlook on
recognizing it.
life, yeah, you're recognizing it, and your outlook on life is a lot better, to where it's the same in the reverse. If you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking of the negative and you're always putting yourself down because your body can't do something you want it to do,
What seed are you
you're
watering?
you're only gonna you're only gonna find the things that you're not good at then, or that you can't do, rather than like, I don't know, look at all the things you can. You're able to go to the gym and do something. Like, there's a lot of people that can't even muster up the energy or the self-worth to go do that,
Yeah.
So it's like, look at the positive and then let that fuel your physical.
And it could even just be reframing the actual situation. Like, like if you're coming back from, say, like the pregnancy situation again, it's like, instead of looking at yourself in the mirror and going, I hate how I look, I hate that because of this I am now overweight, or I don't feel strong, or I don't, I'm exhausted all the time.
Mhm.
I would look at that same person in the mirror and go, you're a badass. You just created freaking life. So
Mhm.
that same mentality and same physical body that created a human, you're going to approach getting back to it with the same strength.
Yeah.
You're coming back from an injury. Your body literally is healing itself. So
Mhm.
your body can put some muscle on. Your body can get to the gym. Your body can, like create a workout.
Yeah.
It's like, go into it with that of like, I'm awesome. I'm so strong. I'm a badass. I've created life. I've healed myself from injury, created like bone to form back together.
Yeah.
I can do some bicep curls.
Yeah.
Like, you've already done the extreme.
Yeah.
Getting back into it should not be more extreme. Go into it with the mental space of, I can do it. I can
Yeah.
handle it. It might take time, and I'm going to give my body the grace and the ability and the bandwidth to be able to do that. But
Yeah.
you had a kid. You can make your body look good and feel good.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. You should be proud. You should be
Yeah.
proud of what you did. And I don't think like we as people don't do that enough of, it's almost like this competition of who's got it worse. That's always
Right.
going on and always
Yeah.
always in the air, and it's super contagious and it's super annoying. So
Yeah.
it's like, why are we competing for who's got it worse? Like, we shouldn't be competing for who's got it better, because that happens as well, but it should be in the middle area of like, you know what, I'm grateful for what I got, and I'm going to work on what I don't, but I'm not going to put the pressure and the stress and the anger on it. Like, I'm just going to be grateful because it could be worse, and I also have a lot of awesome things in my life and going on, and I'm going to let that fuel me forward rather than beating myself down and doing all this stuff. Because you talk about any of the examples we've talked about, like, there's a lot to be proud of in those things. You know, there's so much to be proud of that you just got to look at it.
Yeah.
You got to look at it and don't be blind to it. And because that's way more, you want to talk about like fueling you to get yourself to do something next, or even just to feel better. It's like that is way more fueling than beating yourself up. That beating yourself up it wears. It's the 10
Yeah.
pound weight on your back now.
And even if just the opportunity is simply like you're creating a better relationship with yourself through this because you
Yeah.
have to. You are so hyper aware of how you are feeling, how you look, that like use that as an opportunity because you always could have a better relationship with yourself and with your body and what is going on. So again, this is forcing you to do that. Um but I think if that then you're coming from that space and then moving forward, I think my approach and my advice would be, and this is something that I've been sitting with more, is like not thinking necessarily about the current process of how you're going to get there and just like, well, I'm just going to be excited to go to the gym every single day. No, it's probably not going to happen. But focusing on the, okay, when I get there, how am I going to feel? When I maybe have the body that I want, when I have the healed body or the life that I want or the situation. And this kind of is just a general advice maybe, but like, how does that feel to you? Does that excite you? How is your life going to be different when that happens? And allow that to kind of be your push to not give up. That even though it's hard right now and your body is weak and you probably can't do a lot or you probably don't like how it looks when it's doing it, that you know you'll get there if you put in the work. So just let that feeling of, ooh, when I'm able to move my arm again, or when I'm
Yeah.
able to do the same weight that I used to be able to do, or when I can look in the mirror and not be disgusted at myself. Like, how does that feel? How does that feel walking around? How does that feel when you go to sleep? How does that feel when you eat something or move something around?
Yeah.
Sometimes for me, I think that that excitement of that gets me through those days when I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't want to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
You know?
I think my advice is going to be opposite.
Okay.
And it for fun, but also because there's a different group of people too of
Yeah.
religiously be in the moment at all times. Don't think about the past. Don't think about the future.
Mm-hmm.
Just be where you are right now all the time. And if you can recognize and notice that you're maybe thinking negatively, be in the moment and change that thought and just continuously do that throughout your day when you're going to the gym, in your workout. Just religiously be in the moment and get rid of those negative thoughts and behavior patterns that you have, and then you just let them kind of happen. You know, it's so funny how we say these things or say these negative things and kind of live in this negative manner, and it just passes by without any recognition or thought. It's like, no, stop yourself and go, I don't want to think like that. I don't want to act like that or be like that. So stop yourself, be in the moment, and switch that thought process. And an easy way to do that is just you see yourself thinking of something negatively or doing something negative, just stop and go, okay, what would maybe be the opposite of this or a positive of this? And think about it in a positive way and then move forward and continue about your day. But my talking to that group of people that might be
Yeah.
helpful or more beneficial. Just religiously be in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's good for me.
Yeah,
Do you
me
feel like
too.
we covered enough for everything?
Yeah.
Everything. We'll never cover everything.
Yeah.
Yeah?
No,
You're good?
yeah.
Cool. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow our Facebook page, The Hub Fitness, our Instagram at The Hub_fitness. We're posting more and posting fun stuff. So go give it a look and have a good day.